What is wrong with the Honda Accord? Sales in the US have plummeted over the last 7 to 8 years. It peaked in 2014. 388,000 Honda Accords were sold in the US. Since then, it has dropped to 355, 345, 322, 291, 267, 199,000 in 2020. It bounced back by 3,000 more cars sold in 2021. Why aren't more Americans buying Honda Accords like they used to? This modern midsize sedan is a joy to drive. It's got plenty of passenger and cargo space, very fuel efficient, especially with the available hybrid, but some people will complain it lacks all-wheel drive. Maybe that's why consumers are turning to other vehicles, or maybe SUVs. Has a finicky push-button gear selector, maybe that's it. It has a beginning MSRP right around $27,000, $28,000. In soccer terms, it scores a hat trick. Not just a comfortable family hauler, it's also highly entertaining behind the wheel, in my opinion. It has elegant style, inside and out, and deserves a place on the list of anyone's shopping list for a midsize sedan. Rivals include the Mazda 6, Toyota Camry, which normally is the go-to versus the Honda Accord. There's also the Kia K5 and Hyundai Sonata, offering strong competition. The 2022 model had no significant changes, and there were some minor refreshing done last year, so it's basically the same vehicle it has been for the last couple of years, and maybe that is why the numbers have been fairly flat since 2020, and there are no major changes expected for 2023, so maybe these numbers will continue to fall. This is all very surprising to me because there are plenty of options to choose from in terms of trim levels and engines. You've got the LX, Sport, Sport SE, EXL, Sport 2.0 Turbo, Touring trim levels. There's also a hybrid which comes in the base, Sport, EXL, and Touring form as well. The Sport's pretty popular, but the SE is probably the best value. It has a standard 1.5-liter turbocharged engine, good for 192 horses, 192 pound-feet of torque, paired with a CVT, which is always a sticking point for a lot of people out there. Output for this engine is considered adequate, and the CVT is better than most, but the larger 2-liter turbo with 252 horses and 273 pound-feet of torque is worthy of consideration for performance-minded drivers, and maybe that's you. And the 10-speed automatic transmission makes the most of the turbo's engine's substantial power. On the other hand, the hybrid is rated at 212 horses, 232 pound-feet of torque, figures that top the output of the competing Camry hybrid and Sonata hybrid, so that's something to consider. But the argument is the Accord remains exclusively front-wheel drive, even as its rivals, the Legacy from Subaru, the Altima from Nissan, Camry, and Kia K5 all offer all-wheel drive for additional traction in cold weather climates. Considering how roomy the trunk is at 16.7 cubic feet of volume, roomiest in its class, you'd think that it'd be a better seller. The fast sloping roofline means the rear seat passengers must duck their heads while getting in, but once inside, you've got a lot of leg room and knee room as well as head clearance once you're inside. In the front cabin, you've got a broad but low dashboard. Small storage spaces are all over the place, and everyone's phone can be charged now that Honda includes 2 front and rear USB ports. And if you went with the EX, EXL, Sport 2.0 Turbo, and Touring trim levels, you get wireless charging. One thing that may stand out to potential shoppers like yourself is no real shifter. Instead, you've got buttons and switches rather than a simple gear lever. All 2022 Accords do come with an 8-inch central touchscreen that supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which seems like everyone does these days, but navigation and a Wi-Fi hotspot are exclusive only to the Touring. Whereas some recent Honda infotainment systems have not been so user-friendly, the Accord system is simple. Its physical buttons flank the screen to take you directly to the main functions. Large knobs for volume and tuning are also very welcome. The only thing missing is a split-screen capability for the home screen. Honda is known for safety. It has an overall 5-star rating from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety hasn't tested the 2022, however, it did name the 2021 model a Top Safety Pick Plus, its highest rating, so since there are no major changes for 2022, you can assume the same. Over the last 10 years, Honda Accord sales in Canada peaked at 17,000 in 2013 and then remained pretty flat between 2015 and 2018 at around 13,000 cars and change, and then went down to 11,000, 7,000, and last year 6,400 cars in Canada. So numbers there are also on the decline. When I examine numbers of Camrys sold in the US, looks like 2007 was one of the best years over the last 10 years of 472,000. It stayed around the 400 to 300,000 car mark per year, and then kind of had a nice little bounce back last year with 313,000 compared to the 294,000 in 2020. So Camry is actually on the rise despite a few ups and downs over the last 5 years. A similar trend in Canada for the Camry, where they had a good year in 2013, 18,245 cars. Then it dropped down to 15, 14, and 13,000 in 2019. Then they had a drop again in 2020, like a lot of people did with the pandemic really in full effect. Nice little bounce back in 2021 in Canada for Camry at around 12,000 cars sold. As we wrap this up, I guess a brief history lesson to put all this in perspective. The Accord came out in 1976. The Camry came out 6 years later. Of course, the Honda Accord has sold more because of the head start, but both are solid, reliable sedans. They had that major redesign or full redesign in 2018, both of them. They offer stellar safety ratings and fuel economy. At one point, both have reigned as the best-selling models in their respective brands, even though sedan sales are lagging in general as crossovers and SUVs become more and more popular. I know Camry continues to be one of the top, if not the most popular Toyota among its lineup, and even though CR-V is more popular than the Accord, it's still a very viable and worthwhile product for Honda. It's really hard to put a finger on why the Accord sales have dropped, although many of the manufacturers and brands have seen a drop since the pandemic hit, and with the chip shortage and such, things will continue to be stagnant or maybe even dropping more so in the coming years. Who knows? It's all up in the air. Ultimately, whatever you choose, whether it's Accord or Camry, both are solid vehicles, and I'm sure you'll be happy with your choice no matter which one you choose. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below on this topic. Until next time, I'm Dave Erickson. Thanks for watching. Adios.
One final note, if you are in the market for a new vehicle soon, great. Connect with your local dealership and price and test drive at least 3 different vehicles. A vehicle's strengths and weaknesses can only be discovered when you are behind the wheel. My reviews can be good, but you need to test drive these yourself. Visit quotes.everymandriver.com, select the make, model, and your zip code, and you'll get invoice pricing in your area on those vehicles. Shop smarter with price quotes at quotes.everymandriver.com.
Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you next time.